Yo, what's up? This is Andrew, or on YouTube, Arcadian Warrior. If you remember on Sharks from the Center, ExtremeCoast.com, then I go by Seaborn. I'm just going to do a quick little review or rundown of Avet reels. For our shark fishing, we've been shark fishing for about 2 years now, and we started off with pin senators, and don't get me wrong, I love the senators and there's some good reels, but my 12-aught got messed up, the spool got split, I don't know, something happened to it. And my brother had a 14-aught and something came loose on that, which wasn't a big deal, but that's not the only reason we switched up. I mean, another reason we fished because the Avets have the 2-speed and the low gear, so just the weights we have to use in Texas with the current and everything makes it a lot easier. And just the drag power too, because a lot of people say that Avets put out too much drag, more than you need, but when it comes to stopping that big shark, I mean, you want to have everything, you want to have all the power that you can get, and even if the drag pulls you off your feet, which it will if you're not ready, just have somebody to hold on to you. So I mean, anyways, just going over the reels real fast, or may take my time a little bit, but the first one that we have is actually mine. These two are my brother's and this one's mine, but we all share stuff anyway, so whatever. But this is actually a factory blemish Avet. It's a blue Avet, but one reason why it's factory blemish is because the side plate is a lighter blue, and the main body is not the regular Avet distribution blue, but it's actually navy blue, which I think is kind of cool because, I mean, I haven't seen a navy blue Avet before, so works for me. The preset for strike is on 40 pounds. And for the line, I have 130 pound Dacron, 400 yards of that, and I have 500 yards of 100 pound Bullbuster. So give or take 900 yards, which I'm going to get that switched out next year, but for right now that's going to work for me, especially since I have a 40 pound preset for drag anyways. The rod is a 7'5" custom rod. I have no idea if it was made from a certain company or if it was just a blank made by somebody else, but 7'5", 80 to 160 class custom rod, blue. It's really nice. It's really sturdy. I like it a whole lot. And got it for real cheap. So yeah, that's my personal setup. And on to my brother's rigs. We got his, first of all, the gold Avet. This one right here has 1,500 yards of 100 pound high-vis Power Pro. And I believe it has about 300, 400 yards of 125 Bullbuster, so give or take that's 1,800, 1,900 yards of line on this one. The preset for strike is at, what did he have it at? 40 pounds for this one too. This one's also 40 pounds preset. And the rod is, I believe, a 7'4" rod, and it is 80 to 130. That's what it was sold as, 80 to 130. It may be 160 as well because it looks a little bit thicker than mine, so I don't know. And really good rod, nice matching rod with it. He might get it rewrapped, I don't know. And the last rod, which I guess is the most beast of a setup that we have, or that he has actually, is silver Avet 80 wide. The preset for the drag is 42 pounds. We were just testing this out literally about 10 minutes ago, and he has 1,000 yards of 150 pound Power Pro and 400 yards, 300 yards of 125 pound Bullbuster. So like I said, give or take 1,500, 1,400 yards on this one. And for the rod, like I said, all AFCO stuff for all of these rods, all AFCO rollers and all AFCO butts. It is a 7'1" or 7'1.5" custom rod. It was sold as an 80 to 130, but honestly, this rod is so much thicker than these two right here that we think it's 80 to 200 or 130 to 200, but we're just saying it's 80 to unlimited. We don't know what unlimited class looks like, but I think it's an unlimited class rod, and the person selling it didn't know it, so 130 to 200 give or take. It's a really solid rod. But I mean, yeah, those are the rods pretty much. And I think Avets are some really solid reels. I mean, my biggest shark, 9'8" tiger shark, was caught on a 12-aught, a dysfunctional 12-aught. But, so I haven't had a chance to test this one out. But my brother's had his Avets for a while, and although we haven't caught huge fish on them, we've seen other people land fish on them. We know people. I mean, Albert, seeing him catch his 2 big tigers on Avets, that inspired us a whole lot to get them. Just know the drag power they can put out. And people always say Avets are really hard to maintain and manage, but honestly, if you wash them down all the time and take care of them, they are not hard to deal with whatsoever. And my brother's taking them apart, and they're actually a lot simpler than people think they are. I actually think they might be worth a lot less than people think they are too. But they are some sturdy reels as long as you take care of them. And same for the rods. We do beach shark fishing and pier shark fishing. And people say that roller guides on the beach are a bad idea, but if you just keep them washed down, you know, bring a little spray bottle with some water and soap in it, or just some water, then these rods will hold out just fine on the beach. So don't let that deter you from anything. The only thing that should deter you, if anything, should just be the fact that Senators hold a lot more line than Avets do, and Senators are a lot more easier to maintain, even though Avets are really simple too. One thing I really like about the Avets is how loud the clicker is too, which, well, let me show you on this one. I love that sound so much. When Avets start going off, they sound like a freaking chainsaw. And it's one of the most beautiful sounds in the world. The only thing that sucks about the clicker for an Avet is the more line you have on, the quieter the clicker is. And unlike a pin Senator, if a shark takes a slow run, you're really not going to hear it all that well, which that kind of sucks. But once the shark starts running, I mean, it's one of those unmistakable sounds that'll pierce right through the air on like a windy day on the pier or the beach or anything. I highly recommend 80 class rods for, honestly, 80 class rods is pretty much about all you need, you know, in the first place. For most of your big rigs, whether you use a pin Senator or an Avet or dual, ever or anything, 80 class is the ideal rod that you want, preferably 80 to 130. Because one thing to keep in mind is that for these reels, for every kind of big reel, the less line you have on your reel, the more drag your reel puts out. So at half a spool, it puts out 40 at strike, but at half a spool, strike might be close to like, you know, 60, 70 pounds of drag. So keep that in mind if you're buying a reel. If you have like a 50 to 80 class rod, then you're really risking putting a lot of hurting on your rod doing that. So 80 to 130, 80 to 160, 81 to unlimited, you know, you want something in that range for a good rod. And you can either look around in shops or eBay and stuff for a nice rod, or get a custom rod made. Barrett Rods is supposed to be a very good company to go to, so I suggest them. If I had the money, I'd have a Barrett rod myself. And 7 foot is kind of the ideal rod that you want, you know. A 7 foot rod it's good for beach fishing, and it's good for pier fishing, you know. Pier fishing, you kind of want a short rod, not too long. Beach fishing, you kind of want a longer rod. So with 7 foot rods, you know, you're pretty much covering all your bases if you go between beach and pier. And so these are all the perfect size rods, because we go between Bob Hall Pier and Galveston Beach, and beaches just throughout Galveston. So these rods right here are the perfect size, especially because I had a short rod for my 12-aught, and cranking that rod in while having to, you know, lean over was a pain. So I highly recommend 7 foot rods. They're perfect. Also, be careful if this is your first one or you've never used a lever drag before. The higher you put the preset up, the more that you lose your free spool capability in terms of this first notch right here. So for example, if I put my Avet if I put it right there, then line still comes off fairly easily. But then if I barely just crank it up to that first notch, then this line gets a whole lot tighter, and without even going to strike, when you move it a little bit past that first knob, just moving it past it a little bit, that line gets extremely, like I can't even, from this angle, I cannot pull this line off at all, just barely. So when you are setting your drag to preset, remember that the higher your drag is, the faster that the drag capability goes up. So even though my strike is at 40, like between 40 and the first notch, there's a lot of drag power, and you barely have to move your handle to get that power out of it. So be careful about that when you're fighting a fish. And on the initial run, you may not even want to have it up higher than where I have it right now for the hook set. Also, unlike, you know, some of the regular standard reels like Senators or anything else that is a star drag, Avets don't really get heated up that much. So if you hook into a big hammerhead that takes a blistering, you know, 300, 400 yard run, you're not going to have to be pouring water on the side of your reel, because Avets, I think I've heard that they get a little bit warm, but they don't start smoking like the Senators do. Another thing I like about the Avets are these handles. They have a nice little rubber grip right here, and they're just perfect, man. I love reeling these things in, because the Senator I had a counterbalance handle, and that thing sucked. And even the regular Senators, I like the handles on them and everything, but this is just, it's really comfortable to hold, and I don't know. That's one thing, you know, like when you're fighting a big fish, you know, you want to have a lot of comfort when you're fighting it. So I definitely love these handles a whole lot. Now, one thing about the low gear versus the high gear, you know, I like 2-speed reels is if you have it in 2-speed, you can reel in a lot faster and bring in a lot more line. So, you know, every crank brings in a lot more. You can do it a lot faster. But if you have your drag real tight and you have a heavy fish on the other end, you just press this button right here and you just put it into low gear, and it doesn't bring in line as fast, but it is extremely easy to reel in, less pressure on you while you're putting a whole lot of pressure on the fish. So that's the whole deal behind the 2-speed thing, as well as if you fish the Texas coast, you know that the current's really bad sometimes. So we can't, you know, just have our baits out here. We can't use rocks or anything. We have to use surf weights, really heavy surf weights, sometimes 1 pound surf weights. So when you're pulling that weight loose, compared to a pinch Senator where you have to put it over your shoulder and drag it in and try to yank it loose, with an Avet, you just put it into low gear and you just crank that weight loose with your drag lock down, pop the weight out, put it in 2-speed, and just, you know, skip your weight across the water pretty much. So I mean, that's pretty much it. We haven't, like I said, we haven't caught any huge sharks on our Avets yet. All of our biggest sharks have been on pinch Senators, but we know enough about Avet and we've seen enough from Avets for them to make a believer out of us. So that's what we've converted to. Like I said, some people think they are overkill, but if you want to catch a huge shark and you want to stop it and you want to release it and get it out swimming good and improve your chances, I think these are the ideal reels for that. Even though Everalls and Duals put out a lot more drag, but this is like the ideal thing, because honestly, 50 pounds of drag is a whole lot. Like I said, this is 40, 40, 42 for the preset at strike. And when we were testing it out, I had a hard time holding 40 pounds of drag. So I think that's pretty decent. And if any shark can pull off 40 or 50 pounds consistently, then I guess you just better hold on. And also real quick, if you do buy an Avet reel, out of the box, they don't put out 50 pounds of drag. So if you buy an Avet, don't just put it on a rod and think that you're ready to go and set. You have to mess with the preset first, which is this thing right here on the side. You have to adjust your preset before your Avet puts out how much drag you want it to. And all you have to do is have somebody else help you out. But just use this. You can use a regular fish scale. This is a simple little $10, $5 fish scale, and have somebody pull a line off to let you know how much drag you're putting out. Because when you first buy an Avet, they probably put out 20, 15 pounds of drag at most. So make sure you change the preset. And when you change the preset, make sure that your reel is in free spool, or else you can mess your drag system up, you know. But I mean, yeah, I don't know what else to say about them except for I hope we get some good fish on them. I'm going to try to put out some good videos. I'm probably going to buy a GoPro when I get the chance to put out some good fishing videos this year. But I highly recommend Avet reels from what we've used so far. And I mean, if you're on a budget, I recommend Senators just as much. But if you can afford an Avet, I definitely suggest that you get one. Beautiful reels, and Yeah, that's all I can think of. Keep an eye out. I'm gonna try to put some good videos out this year. Peace.